middle finger. Show me your third chakra. Because you are not a saint. And you're not supposed to be a saint. You're supposed to be a human being with flesh and bones and need to eat rice and need to have sex and need to have all your bodily things because everybody goes to the bathroom. And when you understand that you're fucking human like everybody else and everybody is in pain, then you can start developing your divinity. So there's two kinds of love. So the glyph for love, I told you, was this. This is Venus. There's two types of love. Pandemic love and agape love. Or this is also eros, like erotic love. Which chakra do you think this goes to? A second. Which chakra do you think this one goes to? Which one do you think this goes to? The fourth. So you have love, sex, possession, money, all of the human needs in your second that are necessary. And then you have in your fourth chakra your compassion, your service, your agape love. You need both. And the only way to bridge these two together is with just take a guess. What kind of love is here? What?
Oh, self-love.
Self-love. Yeah. The bridge between your erotic love and your agape love, love thy neighbor as thyself, is self-love. And most people want to forget about their third chakra. And you can't. So we tend to find people that shrink, 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 or the others that are and either one, 0 to 100, and most of you will find these people that come into your office, unless they're court mandated or their wife drives them in, are gonna find questions about shrinking, third chakra, where's my light? And go back here, and I bet you're gonna find a story. And when you get the story, you're going to pull on the thread and everything is going to unravel. Notice how there's no flesh on this. Give Caesar's what is Caesar's. Bury the flesh and go deeper and deeper and deeper and get the root of the subconscious of the message that that person has built their entire existence on. That is why oftentimes it is only illness, whether it's amputations, or now I'm going to get my boobs chopped off, or some radical earth element bodily thing that finally changes the entire fucking narrative that you live your life based on. Because oftentimes it's the only thing. And it's the death, and it's the rebirth. And it's down to the underworld that takes you to the upper world. And then you find yourself, and lo and behold, the third chakra. You find yourself here. Then you can find your vocation. Then you can find your mission. Then you can give to others but not take from yourself. And so illness is oftentimes necessary because it's the only thing that's going to get your attention. And if it happened to Buddha, who the fuck are you to not have it happen to you? Doesn't mean that everybody's going to get cancer. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to have thyroid issues. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to have an amputated leg. But when you have a cough, when you have a sore throat, when you have an ankle pain, listen. is it's an opportunity in a smaller way to do it. To take you back to that third chakra so you can stop shrinking and you can start shining. And you can develop homeostasis in the relationships in your life. But if you don't listen, then you get sicker and sicker and sicker. Because this is health. This. So now we're at the higher chakras. You have agape love at the fourth chakra. Here you have compassion, you have service, you have love, unconditional. It is very, very, very rare, if ever, to find or give unconditional love. It just is. It's reserved for the God part of ourselves that we are so beasts that it's just, so you do what you can. And that's why you don't judge people, because we're just human and we're just in pain. And no one is doing it to you, so we don't take things personally. Because people are acting from their wound and from their pain. They're not doing anything to you. They're just not. They're doing it to themselves. Harry Carey, they're taking their sword and they're going to themselves. It's their own shit. Does it hurt us? Yes. But we have to use our higher centers, our Chiron rational self, our higher self, to say, wait a minute, I'm hurting, but I know enough consciously to know this person isn't doing this to me. But we love pain. We love our problems. There ain't no better orgasm than your problem. I call it the psychological orgasm. And honey, it is the best orgasm you've ever had. And you do it over and over and over. I mean, if we really, everyone should have overgrown second chakras for all the fucking baja mental that we have, our fucking with our problems. So, we logically know that this person didn't do anything to us personally. But this is our psychological orgasm. And what happens if I let this go? Who the fuck am I? My Costco card doesn't get me in. I don't belong anymore to the Yahia clan. To the Garcia clan. To our clan. We want to belong to the fucking story. So we can freaking jerk off to our problem over and over and over again. But if we recognize that no one is doing anything to us, that they're just stuck in their story, and no matter what tool, we'll get to that next week, we have activities. Your story comes out over and over and over. And let's watch the video from yesterday. It was on point. It was, and it was just a practice. It was to rehearse. I'm like, let's play. Let's kind of see. It's textbook. So it's oftentimes illness that forces us, that we're practically dead on a bed, that we have to ask for help, that we have to lower our heads, be humbled, so we can say, no more Costco card. No. I now want a Nordstrom's card. Because I love Nordstrom's. And not Nordstrom's rack. I want Nordstrom's. Fuck the rack. Fuck the rack. I want Nordstrom's, okay? This is going to be my new fucking card. After my tits are chopped off and after my hair falls out. Okay, and then we're going to rebuild and we're going to go to Nordstrom's. Okay? Field trip. Okay, yes. And you're going to wear that shirt. Second chakra. I'm speaking from my second chakra right now. Damn it. It's like, yeah. But we stay stuck in our story, because it makes us feel like we belong, like we know who we are, that our mother and our father, fill in the blank. And so Jesus said to Nicodemus, you must be reborn. Nicodemus, how do I do that? I can't get into my mom's womb. I mean, Jesus must have looked at that guy like, are you stupid? This was the guy running the church, I think. He had some high position. And he's like, you are born from yourself. From your own self. Not your parents' story in Mohong that they had in their head the moment they had sex at 16 or 19 or 12 or whatever the fuck was going on in their life. Your job on earth is not to relive their fucked up stories. It's to live your fucked up story. Well, but it's yours at least. At least it's your own. So you cannot do that. That is why the higher chakras are rarely developed. That's why this fourth chakra, it's so hard. We stay here. Rarely do we bridge. And we cannot love another unconditionally until we have what? Say it. Speak up. Fifth chakra, work it right now. Self-love.
There was nothing after that.
Okay.
I've been talking with my hands on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then we have our stones, and we have our fifth chakra, which is this beautiful blue, and why I said time management problem. You need to wear blue to open this up, to communicate, to speak. There has to be a story with Mercury, because you're like this in this class. I don't know if you're like that at work. I don't know, with a couple drinks in you, what comes out. But in this class, you're like shy. What the fuck? You can't be louder than me. Nobody in this building is louder than me. I obviously have fifth chakra issues. But we know them. I was not heard. And I have awareness, but I don't know how the fuck to change it. So, like body image, I guess that's for another life. I don't know. And we just accept that we're flawed. That is part of accepting our divinity through our humanity. Who here has an issue with perfection? Raise your hands. If you have issues with perfection, you have an issue with your humanity. You have an issue with your lower chakras. That's where you take bleach, Missy, and bleach, bleach, bleach. Everything has to be spotless and perfect. And you bleach your teeth, and you bleach your house, and you bleach everything. And the pictures you post on Instagram are only perfect.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I looked at her and I saw it immediately.
These little creatures
someone's ceiling.
Va a tomar una foto si la ponen en
So, when we want to bleach or not be blemished or be perfect, I call this the perfect older sister voice. Everybody has a perfect older sister, and if they don't, it's you, and if it's not, it's in your head. I have a perfect older sister. We know she's not perfect, but she's perfect. So I named that voice the perfect older sister. And so that's not accepting your humanity. And when you don't accept your humanity, you are dissociated from the body. You're hanging out in the higher chakras too much. You're floating, and you're talking about meditation and spirit and this and that, and you're so Om. And guess what? A fucking bat comes and goes boom and brings you to your knees so you can feel the earthquake of your body. And your body, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, what is this? I have legs. I have legs, I can walk. Ooh, what is this sensation? So when you have bleach, perfection issues, you have not accepted your humanity, and you're living too much in your divinity, and therefore you're chopped off, and you're only living as half a person. Half. And you can't be whole if you're living half. So you have to accept the bottom half as much as the upper half. So illness oftentimes comes to those of us that have difficult with our lower half. Because we want to be floating and being so spiritual. So spiritual. Okay, and I'm a Pisces. So it's fucking hard work.
Oh, yes.
So we move up. Then we're at the fifth chakra. The fifth chakra is the center of communication. It's blue. What? Okay. And the thyroid is involved. The fifth chakra is really interesting because in astrology, it is ruled by Pluto or Hades. Yep, Aniela, Scorpio. Let's look at the glyph, the stinger. What is the key word for Scorpio?
Oh, that's me.
Control.
Oh, that's right.
Doctora, can you tell us just a few, just a couple of the things that the thyroid does in the body?
Well, one of the principal things, they work in the metabolic rate.
Metabolic
They work with growth.
growth.
Meaning, they work is part of your thermostat.
Your thermostat.
Also have to do with starvation.
Starvation.
Have to do with what else we can say? Is know the difference between hot and cool. You know,
Hot
that
and cold.
variation.
This is just a few
Yeah,
of the things.
the principal one is going to be metabolic action, because our body, everything in our body have to do with how we metabolize.
How we
Meaning
metabolize
how to-
and change. And do Scorpios like change that is out of their control? Fuck no! No!
This is
So
not
when
that
you
bad.
have an issue of your fifth chakra, you're a control freak. And not even your thyroid is going to tell you when to feel hot or cold or walk or do anything.
Are you controlling it?
So fifth chakra, those people are so constipated control, motherfuckers. How many of you like your house freezing when you sleep?
How many what?
Like the house freezing when you sleep?
Me.
How many of you like it hot or warm when you sleep?
No.
Okay. But you like to control your thermostat. I was freezing last night, but I was so lazy that I was like, I'm not going to get up to change. No. But I'm surrendered. My life is, that's the metaphor. Fuck it. I'm just surrendered. I don't give a fuck anymore. Just do what you gotta fucking do. But mostly we get up to adjust the temperature.
Yeah.
Because we're control freaks. The fifth chakra is that. So when people come with fifth chakra stuff, just talk about control. What they have control of, what they lost control of. When someone comes with an illness, you want to ask them when the onset of that was. When did they get the symptoms? When did that start? Because usually in the psyche, what's repressed will come out with the illness or the symptom.
Yeah.
So when you know when it started, there's a story there. And what did I tell you about numbers? This grew. When I had my first diagnosis, and now I have two, because I have two heartbreaks. My first cancer was 2.5 centimeters. 2.5, 25. At 25, I died. It's like when I got married the first time, it was against my, all that shit that I told you about. This time, it's 3. My 3 kids are leaving. They're all going to college, and I have another one next to it, which I know is my spouse that I didn't want to lose. I don't know the size of that one. So if someone tells you the onset was 6 months, what happened at 6 years old? Or things like that. We are not going to get to do the weight assignment today, but you'll see that kind of thing when we do, we have next week is week 4?
Well, it's only Tuesday, we have Thursday.
Oh, okay. So
and
Thursday.
next week is week 4, yes.
Okay, so Thursday we'll do the weight assignment, so we can talk about when we have extra fat and things like that, because you're always going to get people struggling with body image, so that'll be an activity. So you ask when the symptoms or the diagnosis, because oftentimes when it's ready to be healed, when you're ready to give up your Costco card, that's when you start getting symptoms. So you can tie in age, things like that, of what happened. 6th chakra, 7th chakra. So I told you about the elements. We have earth, we have water, we have fire. Here we have air, because you can't grab love or things like that. Here, this is 5. This is the Akash, or ether. Okay? The 5th chakra is really interesting. I'll explain it to you the best I know how. I just kind of know. So everybody has intuition. Everybody has a jelly bean. Everybody has the vagus nerve and the 3rd chakra that created.
But this is really
Yes, yeah. But to explain the elements of 6 and 7, I want to just give you a quick story on this. There's something called the clairs. Clair is claro, clear. Clear sight, clear hearing, clear knowing. Everyone know the word clairvoyant? She's clairvoyant, she can see. Okay? So we all have these clairs. There's clairvoyance, there's claircognizance, when you just kind of know, like my daughter yesterday, when she's like, oh, my gut told me to go look at that chapter, and it turned out. Okay? There's clairaudience when you hear. Carolyn Mace, I've mentioned her before in a lot of things, I really like her. She tells this one story when she was, I think, in college or high school. She used to work at the Mars chocolate factory, and one night she was driving home. She would work really, really late, and she was driving, and she said she heard a voice say, "Slow down, red truck," or something like that. And there was this huge, like 18-wheeler or something that came and would have hit her. And she heard the voice. So sometimes you hear the voice, and it doesn't sound like that. But you hear whatever you hear, and you just know. Clairvoyant, clairalience and gusticides, where you taste. Sometimes when people sense their loved ones are around them, they smell their favorite perfume or cologne, or they taste something that reminds them of them. That's another way of a clair. And then there's claircognizance, where you just know. And there's clairaudience. I said them all, right? Okay. The chakras are also related to that. The element of the clairs is the ether. This is like the collective unconscious. This is like the cookie dough. Remember the cookie dough? And then your little chocolate chip trickles down and it becomes you, the piece of shit that you are on the earth? Okay. This is your cookie dough. This is where you get, and this is where I work, in the Akashic records. It's ether, bless you. It's like this energy field that just stores everything, okay? So that's where people that do the kind of work that I do tend to go to get their information. Everyone goes there. Every one of us. When you've got that gut, that's where you go, okay? And no surprise for those of you who got the mystic on your archetypes, it's related to Scorpio. It's related to that sort of mystical, spiritual sort of part of us, that witch part of us that we all have, okay? Now, the other two chakras are all elements. There is no specific element. So we stop at the 5th chakra for the ether. So in our 6th and our 7th chakras, which she was mentioned earlier about the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, those are very important glands that when people come with issues, you know they're 6, 7 chakra issues. The 6th and the 7th chakras tend to do with more of spiritual or higher sort of self or higher knowledge at that sort of realm. Oftentimes, people that have those very, very open or extremely clairvoyant or have a lot going on, very active there, that can also pose a problem. Now, one of the things that happens in 6th chakra, what is it the 6th chakra? What organ? What? Okay, your eyes, but what? Your brain. How many of you overthink shit? Luciana Nadine, what is it that she has on her desk? Hold on a second, let me overthink this. Something like that, like before she can make a decision, she has to overthink it. You're Virgo, she's a Virgo too, right? And that's very Virgonian. And funny enough, today, the Virgo bomb people are here. And if you look at the logo, you're gonna see, I can never draw it, but it's MP, and it's in the middle of their name. So I was telling her this morning, this MP, let me try it better. It looks like this means materia prima. It's talking about the land, and they sell sandwiches, grain. This is the goddess Ceres of cereal, of grain, Demeter, the mother earth. So whoever picked that name knew they did their homework, okay? So what was I talking about?
Third eye, the brain.
Oh, the brain. So when you tend to overthink things, oftentimes you can have brain stuff, hair falling out, because you're thinking and thinking. I have a client who has mechones, how do you say mechones? Patches of it, just alopecia, right? It's just chunks and chunks comes out because she cannot understand how her husband cheated. And they're together and they're making it work. But it's like this thing, and she'll call me, she goes, I can't, like, the brain can't. So you'll get that. Migraines are 6th chakra stuff. Those are related to thinking, overthinking, a lot of 6th chakra stuff. But oftentimes people that have very open 6th or 7th chakra, one